All right, welcome to the last talk of today. The stuff after this is at 6 o'clock in the Hardware Hacking Village is a demo party. In the CTF room at 6 o'clock is the amateur radio testing. If you're doing that, be there because the doors will shut with or without you, I think. Later tonight here in this room at 7:30 is our banquet dinner, and then our game night, so come here, have fun later, but you have a little bit of break after this talk, before demo, and then after demo, before dinner. I think that's all of my announcements. I'm sure I'll think of something and tell you after this talk. But coming up next, we have Trusted Senders and Untrusted Outcomes with Priyank Nigam.
Thank you. All right, thank you, folks. By the way, this is an Layer 7 talk, and I counted. It's actually talk number 7 of the day, so makes sense. Yeah. All right, so in this talk, we're going to do a quick walkthrough of TTPs which avoid malicious attachments and weaponize cloud workflows to target email clients where JavaScript is disabled or and we will leverage like weird HTML behaviors to our advantage for red team operations. So how many of you have always pulled your hair trying to get your malicious attachments down to the email for your target environment? At some point, everyone has, right? So we're going to talk to the problem. It's a very simple agenda. And I'll go through the defenses in at least one of the case studies. And then we'll talk about what can we do about it. None of this applies. Everything is manual. I guess today maybe it might be able to do it, but this had a lot of hair pulling because I was exploiting this cloud workflow and I had to check every time going through the email, right? Before that, a little bit about me. I'm currently part of M365 security at Microsoft, and we partner with engineering to embed security by default options in M365 applications through policy, tooling, security reviews, helping prevent security vulnerabilities at scale. In the past, I was part of the red team, and I have been fairly active in application security and pen testing and all those jazz and responsible disclosures. So this is the current problem for initial access. The first is to land the phishing email, get the user to click on the attachment, and then evade the EDR or XDR, whatever is running. All of them are getting harder. The last one is a little meh, in my opinion. But because of email filters, cloud-based defenders, or cloud-based endpoint protection, link scans, reputation scans, and all these things are really going server-side. So it's becoming more and more difficult to land your email without being tagged external or without being tagged malicious or without being and you ending up in the junk folder or any other place where the user might never see it, right? And after that, you have the opportunity to actually execute whatever payload you want to execute. So EDR, we are not going to touch upon EDR evasion. That's a different topic, and it all depends on target environment. So modern email abuse for phishing is focusing more on the client-side rendering behavior you want. So, for example, if you have compromised any cloud workflow and you have realized that you can initiate an email and your email is landing, you just don't need to, you're above SMTP layer, basically. You're on the HTTP layer at this point. So you don't need to worry about protocol flaws or anything. And even when JavaScript is disabled, email clients are increasingly getting much and much better at HTML. And a lot of these things are interpreted at a different level. Even if it's, be it like the thick client application of, let's say, Outlook or Gmail or anything, or these are web view based, or you could also access it via like actual browser via Edge or Firefox or stuff like that. So things like that, things like header injection and SMTP level stuff no longer work, or at least these are very difficult to exploit. But that protocol level spoofing is happening before the client side defenses are actually being called, right? Whereas WebView and Electron-based clients, like today's modern browser, are literally really rich in displaying HTML content. And then, as you know, most of these are based on Chromium, and they have support for everything pretty much, like HTML, CSS, inline resources, like everything. So think of them like browsers, right? And the reason threat actors love to target these is because HTML injection, if you can reliably inject that, is going to land in that inbox. And CSS-only techniques can hide trusted contents. You can manipulate things on the email client, and that would actually work. You can also use that to your advantage for truncating any visual warnings which some email clients add at the end of the email or in the start of the email or through subject lines like, oh, this is potentially untrusted or stuff like that. A minor difference between thick clients and web-based clients is thick clients are dependent on native parsing and embedded rendering engines, so think WebView and Electron-based clients, and they have inconsistent HTML and CSS-based parsing. Whereas web-based clients are basically like a browser process running in a sandbox. So think you're literally attacking like Chromium-based browser like Edge or Chromium. They have stronger isolation, but they are still vulnerable to trusted sender-based HTML injection. And they rely heavily on content sanitization from the upstream service, which is actually calling them. So this is what happens in reality. If you think JavaScript is disabled or email filtering is going to catch all your attacks or client warnings will be visible, none of these hold against a real target environment because your filter will be evaded if an attacker can inject content before the client-side defenses engage. So with that, I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough about one of the endpoints which were discovered because we were having trouble landing emails within our tenant. Obviously, this vulnerability has been fixed, but I'm going to walk through our notes. So, quick question: would you trust this email? No. Okay, of course. Right. So you can see all the sender is amazing. You can trust the name. You can trust whatever is written, and like there's no nothing visual which would stand out basically, and the email filter did not actually catch it. So the issue was basically a web API which was accepting this payload. Here's what we are working on. This is a stripped down version of what the HTTP request looked like. You could specify any cross-tenant user, so just any M365 tenant is valid, and I think it would go to anybody. And in the email customizations body parameter, you pretty much control the HTML content. You don't control the subject line yet, but this is enough to give us a good leeway. So here's what I found. At first, when I was trying to put in like huge payload, and then there was like all these errors, like only 200 characters is allowed, and the current I just put like I think 501 or something. So that was like the first limitations. However, on probing it a little bit more, it actually was 500. So, but then again on 501 it broke and it wouldn't actually allow us to go through. So all right, fine. So we'll start working with 500. So the next step was to send like a very normal text. All right, let's see. Is this a test? I don't know if you guys can see it. I should probably use a laser pointer or something. So here's our. Let me see. So this is where our user controllable text is landing there. It's very simple. ASCII, it just works, right? Now let's try HTML encoded text. As you can see, this is being HTML encoded. So not too good, because everything is totally fine over here. How about HTML tags? Here's our payload here. The first one is basically like a normal text. The second one is a link, a href link. The third is a h1 tag. And I believe there was a bunch of other garbage which never got rendered. So good call on that. That actually worked. So that's something we can use for exploit building. The next step is iframes. How about that? Like, all browsers support that. You could embed untrusted third-party content in this. However, unfortunately, as you can see, nothing got rendered here. So something was getting break, and we'll come back to it. So the best way to debug was to actually render it in a browser, and I saw a certain content security policy were failing. I took a note of whatever the allow listed domains were, and then keep it in the back pocket, and let's continue further. What can we do? So the next step was, all right, let's think about, because the href worked, the anchor tag worked, let's tamper with the HTTP scheme. So here's like another minor finding that you could see that there was like this unencrypted HTTP link which was being rendered. So that was like a win. We could probably embed like an SSO link or something like that over unencrypted connection, and before the server actually upgrades it to an HTTPS, there is an opportunity to capture the network traffic. But more interestingly, how about other non-HTTP protocols? So like file, FTP, HTTP, or any other things. So that didn't work. So yeah, I mean, you could see whatever worked and whatever did not work. You can see that over there. Nope. All right. So what about CSS? So over here, I just tried to embed like a beautiful button with just the href, and then I put it in a div tag, and it totally worked. Like, so this is like a very nice thing. So we are getting somewhere now. The email is now looking more and more legitimate, more and more trustworthy, that the target might actually click on. How about positioning? Again, this is all CSS tricks. I just got the button over to the center, but as you can see, I lost the remainder of the text over here. It's just like nothing at this point. But still, this is great. Like, we also control the positioning, we control the content, we control the beautiful. We are still working within the 500 character limit. So remember, the iframe in the initial one was blocked. So I tried. One of the allow listed domain was SharePoint, and as you know, SharePoint can host untrusted content because anybody can host content on a SharePoint domain, regardless of the tenant. So irrespective of the target tenant you're targeting, you could just be a SharePoint admin and try to host it. Unfortunately, that didn't work either. As you can see, nothing happened. But there's something funny which happened. The message towards the end of this, as you can see, that was truncated. So you remember there was like this non-user controllable text which was being sent in all email, but because something happened, something broke, this was gotten rid of. So that's a win. I don't know how it happened, but we'll find out why. So if we now add our HTML and CSS and that particular iframe payload, we can truncate the server control text as well. As you can see, now we control more than 50% of the text over here. So you like go to resource, nothing else is there. There's Microsoft branding and stuff like that, right? And the sender is trusted as well, so it's guaranteed to land in the email inbox. So this is what the final payload looked like. Within that 500 character limit, is able to do like a paragraph with the div style, and this is what the button CSS looked like. And after landing in the within the user's inbox, this is the CSS, which is, as you can see, it's literally one-on-one mapping from the attacker-controlled payload to a user's browser when the inbox actually lands within the user. So the issue was for truncation of the message after the user controllable text was more of a happenstance. What happened was when I pushed a very iframe tag over here, I forgot to close the src tag over here, and what happened was that the browser actually rendered it, and it didn't actually could not figure out that the source for the document which I'm trying to render via iframe is truncated, and that what happens is that the HTML page literally broke, and an attacker can use that as an advantage. So that's exactly what we did. And so this is what happens when you actually experiment, and this was a good thing. So we are now controlling a lot of the content on the attacker-controlled email. And the fix was fairly simple. I mean, obviously they just disallowed HTML character, and the end of it. This was the end of the story. All right. So takeaways. Identity and privilege scoping. You always have to focus on delegated authentication and have high privilege service principals segmented by environment. And these roles should be periodically removed. This is more of a governance and compliance thing, but that actually limits what an attacker can do once they figure out how to exploit your trusted workflows. Content generation and templating, these are more of an application security fixes there, where you have like auto escaping enabled by default with no raw HTML or scriptable content. Even though JavaScript is disabled, attackers and their payloads can still slip through like this. And then dynamic content are validated for and sanitized prior to rendering as an email to any user between them. And then these are more for like the defenders, like your SOC team or your blue team. Basically have telemetry which is clearly attributing which email is being originated from which service principal and what's going on there. That's monitoring for those kind of inconsistencies will help you detect these kind of attacks faster. And alerts, set your alerts on the send volume and all these attributes which may indicate threat actor behavior. And then for logs, retaining sufficient context for investigations and forensics. Like in Microsoft environments, there are like OpenTelemetry, SDK, and R9 metering with Geneva. That's an example. All right, so that's pretty much it. I went through a little quickly, but thank you so much. Any questions? Yeah. I can't hear you, sorry.
The purple button on the first slide.
The purple button?
You made it blue instead of purple. That's what gave it away.
Oh, I see.
It didn't match the theme. And then second.
This one?
Yes, the blue is what gives it away.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Second, the cross-tenant direct sending. You have to disable direct send to disable that, correct?
For cross-tenant, so in this particular scenario, it was required. And that's the reason this is applicable to a lot of cloud workflows where in this particular case, that was not a bug. That was a feature to send cross-tenant emails. So the problem was HTML content. You're now injecting pretty much anything over there.
But if you disable direct send, it blocks that, correct?
What do you mean by direct send? Like,
It's a Microsoft 365 setting you change.
no, that's a feature, not the bug. So you.
Yeah, but it's a setting you can turn off.
Yeah, you want to originate emails, right? So if by direct send, if you mean the answer is delegated authentication, obviously, So, like for example, when you share like a Word document or SharePoint document, you're going to see that the email is originating on behalf of someone, on behalf of a user principal name, which is like your name, and then it is going to say via SharePointonline.com or whatever. That makes it much more legitimate. So, yeah.
Question, but I kind of missed what method of injection you're talking about.
So this is when cloud workflows allow any arbitrary HTML characters, and that ends up in a user's email. This is how it's going to end up, because the user's browser is basically so for web-based client, it's the user's browser, and for thick clients like Outlook or Gmail or anything like that, they are still web-based clients because they are based on either WebView technology or Electron technology. It's like pretty much the same. Not the same, but WebViews are essentially Chromium engines. They are literally web browsers running over there. So that attack surface where you might not have access to JavaScript. Like in Electron, you may still have native functionality. They run in a sandbox, but with browsers, it's much more easier to, and this is all trickery, right? You only have to land that email and entice the user to click through wherever you wanted them to. So. Any other questions? All right, party time then. Thank you so much.